Hi, today I'm sculpting a chibi, and I started this out with a Skinner blend over some polymer clay, and you can see I'm shaping it into kind of a pear shape because that's the shape that a chibi starts out as. Not all of them, but the top is the head, the bottom is the body. And now I'm pulling the tail out. Sometimes they're long, sometimes they're short. I'm going to go for a long one this time. Now I'm getting my tools, getting my eyes. And these eyes, I'm trimming them. I've made them previously, and in another tutorial I'll show you how I make those eyes. Now I'm using my wooden tool to put holes where I want my eyes to go. Because these eyes already have the highlight marks on them, I have to make sure I line them up right. And then look at them from top, bottom, sides to make sure that they're both pushed in the same amount and so that it looks like it's even. Now, because all that manipulation, I've got junk all over my clay, little bits of dust, so I'm just going to clean all that off. Okay, now I'm going to get my cutters, which I absolutely love my cutters. Can't live without them. These are my two favorite. I'm checking them to make sure that I don't have clay in them, because sometimes I do and it gets dirty on to the other clay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some eyelids. Two little circles for eyelids. Little teardrop shapes. And I usually attach them at the inside center of the eye. And then seam them down. Makes it easier for them to stick when I want to roll them around the top of the eye. And just pull and stretch to get the eyelid where I want it. Now just smoothing the eyelids in. Lots of smoothing and turning and looking from different angles to make sure everything is even. Sometimes it's good when they're a little bit off because that's what gives them personality, but you don't want it to be so off that it makes it look uncomfortable to the eye to look at. Here I'm reinforcing the neck shape. And now I'm just adding some creases into the tail. Chibis are chubby, so I have to add my little fat rolls. Okay, now I'm starting to make his nose. I decided that this one I want him to have a long upper lip. My friend Natalia over on Facebook said it makes him look like a turtle. But he's really like some of my very first chibis. I've kind of been going back and revisiting my early sculptures. I think right now he's kind of looks like a bird, but I smooth the edges in as much as I can as I go. And because my polymer clay is made with translucent, the edges blend really nice with each other. Um, doesn't leave a lot of, like when you use Primo, I tend to have trouble blending the edges, but because this is my custom mix, the edges, they blend very nicely together. Now I'm adding his bottom lip. I'm going to make it pink like the back of his body and his head. He looks funny right now, but it'll look better. Just a little bit of adjustments to the shape. And there, I like how that looks now. Next I get my cutters and I'm going to add some cheeks. It's going to have kind of chubby cheeks, so I make two teardrop shapes and put them in near the eyes. And then I can't even describe it. It's a weird push, pinch, pull thing that makes these cheek shapes that all the Chibis have. It's like their signature face, and blending the cheek edges in to make it nice and smooth. And then once the cheeks are all blend in all areas, then they will be pushed in the corners there, and that what gives that dimple, the smile that the Chibis have. And I also work down from the eyes at the top to get the smooth corners there and reinforce the dimple one more time. I go in and reshape the eyes as I sculpt because they get distorted. Okay, now I'm going to add lower eyelids, and I'm using a real small bit of clay for this. Not all Chibis have them. This one I just feel like I want some. And I've got some dirt. Well, it's not dirt, but it's clay. A different color clay, so I got to clean that out. Tiny little snakes. I start with the outside of the eye and line them up. I do that on both eyes at the same time before. And then I push them in towards the center. To me, this seems to be the easiest way to keep them even. Once I have them even like I like, these ones, I'm going to blend them down in. Sometimes I leave them so it just looks like they got fat bags under their eyes, but this guy decided I wanted to smooth it down in a little bit. I'm just going around generally and looking to see if anything else needs worked on. I put 2 holes for where the nostrils are going to go, and I embed the holes so that I can put little balls of different colored clay in there. Makes them stick better. So here's 2 balls of the pink clay. And I smooth it down a little bit down into the lip so that the color blends in. And once that's done, then I will push the holes in for the nostrils so he can breathe, which I wish somebody would do that for me today because I'm not breathing very well. I think the pollen count must be high today. Okay, now I'm working on his belly. This is another thing that Natalia says makes him look like a turtle, but I don't know. To me, I just like doing things that I think are cute, and that's all this is. I'm going to add some marks down his stomach where I want these 4 little ribs to go, and then I add a rib into each one and press it down kind of to make it look almost like it's a ribbon that's going across his belly, and I do that with all 4 strips. Okay, now that I have all 4 strips, I want to add some like buttons going down the side where it looks like the ribbons are going in. So I'm going to use the lighter gray and tiny little small balls of clay. try to make them as even as I can, but I don't stress it too much. Okay, I decided I did want some creases in his eyes, so I'm putting the creases in right now. I'm happy with that. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a Skinner blend, and I'm not going to bother using the pasta machine. I'm just going to do it by hand. So this is like really sped up. But I'm doing this because I'm going to use a Skinner blend on his arms and his legs. Okay, now I take some of the gray clay and some of the peach clay and I put it together because I'm going to use this in the center to wrap this Skinner blend around it. And the reason I'm doing it is so that the top and the bottoms will match. And then I'm going to seal the seams and get it ready to, oh, popping out some air bubbles, and get it ready so that I can cut it into 4 pieces for his arms and his legs. Each time I cut it, I pinch the end closed where I cut it, lining up the blend so that it makes a solid seam again. And here I'm doing that, and I'll have to do it with the other side, and I'll do that 4 times. Okay, I'm going to start with his feet, and I'm rolling them all out so I can get the 2 biggest ones. Those will be for his legs and his feet. So I decided that I want his feet and his hands to be on the gray end, so I bring them out a little bit and flatten them, and with one of my favorite tools, start putting little tootsies in there. Once the toes are in there the way that I like, I go ahead and I start the other one so that I can make sure that they match. Okay, they look like a cute little pair, so now I just bring the ankles in just a little bit more. Use my needle tool to put the wrinkles in the chub around the ankles and around the knees just a little bit. Next, I use my ball stylus tool and some not translucent clay, not completely translucent, but translucent and white clay. Roll it out real thin, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting little toenails with my tiniest little cutter that I have. And with my stylus, I put the indentations in where the toenails are going to go. And in they go, pinching, trying to keep them pointy as much as I can. And I do this for both feet. Okay, and now that I like them, I'm going to put them on the Chibi. I put little indentations where I want to put his legs. And I push them in. Yep, they're always spread wide apart like that and then pulled towards the center. Puts the chub where I want the chub to be. I'm blending the little seams around his legs. Not completely because I want some folds to be there. Okay, now I want to do his little arms, and they're done basically the same way as his legs, just smaller. Sometimes they have thumbs. This Chibi doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this. Okay, now the arms are done. I'm going to go ahead and put them on. This Chibi, I'm going to have them off to his sides. So I'm just pushing them in, making sure they're lined up where I want, and I'm going to seam the edges, blend them in so that it stays. And do this on both sides, make sure it looks nice, the best that I can. Okay, now I'm going to put the little horns on his head. I'm going to use the light gray for this. And I do it pretty much the same way I put his toenails in, only I use bigger pieces of clay and a bigger stylus. And I use the stylus on the, to make sure that I get it spaced where I want it. Okay, and I use a super glue for this. This is the gel kind that I think it has like 30 seconds drying time. Just a little bit just to hold the center part of the clay in. And then I push the spike down in, and the clay around where the super glue is will bond to itself, but it just gives me the ability to put these spikes on without having to distort them too much. So super glue is handy for that. As long as it's inside the clay and it doesn't seep out any of the seams, it doesn't seem to cause any kind of problems. Now I'm using my little stylus tool and I'm just putting some texture on his shoulders and his arms. And then I'll put a little bit on his head too. Reinforcing his wrinkles. Fixing his toenails. Gotta fix the toenails all the time because I'm always bending them. Okay, put some texture on his head. I like to add the texture because I'm going to put mica powders on afterwards, and the little bit of texture makes for more reflective surfaces. Okay, fix his eyes again. Look him over, make sure I haven't distorted anything too much. Straighten out his nose and his lip and check his toenails. Make sure that they're nice and pointy. Then I get my name stamp, which I'll show you that in a second. There it is. Just says Mad. And I stamp that into the bottom of the clay. And that's what he looks like. He's good to go. Okay, this is the brush I'm using. It's a makeup brush, and I'm using a mica powder that's it's like a flip-flop color. It's gold and pink. And I'm just covering him with the mica powder. I'll go ahead and fast forward this because that's all I'm doing. I'm trying to keep the powder off of his toenails and off of his spikes on his head. And generally I don't even put any on the bottom really, because any manipulating that I do at this stage is just opportunity to, as you see, once again, mess up his toenails, mess up his nose, mess up his spikes. So, and that's it. And he's pretty much done, and in the oven he goes. And here he is. He's out of the oven and baked and ready to be adopted. So thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If I went too fast on certain spots and spent too much time on other spots, let me know, because I don't know what you'd like to see. I'm just guessing here, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks. See you next time. Bye-bye.